Well, like I'm sure you all know, there is a growing polarization. There is a greater and greater divide in the society, and especially when it comes to food and agriculture, about really to understand what is food, what does it come from, how is it produced. And really, it's not just urban rural, you know. I hear that a lot, yeah, urban populations, no. And like we've seen in recent elections, it is not just about, you know, where you live, or no, it's really about value. The divide is about values, and values are what created culture. And let's face it, in this divide we have different cultures. Look in your country, depending on the location of the people, their socio-economic background, their sets of beliefs, their personal convictions, political, ideological, you name it, there is a huge discrepancy, and it's really all about the values. So if we really want to bring people back, we're going to have to find common values and work on the common values. That is the main thing. And you know, in that divide, it's all about perceptions, and yeah, like this, the values and the sets of beliefs. It's really about how do we perceive the world. And let's face it, if we talk in the case of urban and rural, or depending on what kind of work, if you work in an industry that's very strongly connected to nature, who's very strongly connected to natural resources, or you're in an industry where you spend your time basically in an office or in your apartment looking at a computer and doing nothing else, you're going to have totally different perception of the world. And also the way nature interacts with you is going to be very different. Let's say if you're a farmer, you know that every day something can happen is going to destroy months of work. So you look at nature in a different way. Nature has a different dimension. Sometimes I also like to make a little bit of a parallel between this perception of nature and the sense of religion. It's very normal that if you're very connected with nature, you're going to have this feeling of there is something stronger force above. If you live in a cocoon in your little apartment behind your computer, you're not going to have this this feeling that, you know, there is something above that can threaten you, that can destroy you in just one heartbeat. And that's going to affect very strongly how you look at life, how you look at nature, how you look at food, how you look at agriculture. And I think this is a problem in our societies. We have now groups that have basically grown apart, and it's not just a matter of that consumers are not connected to agriculture. Yes, that's part of the problem, but it's much more than just that. It's really a set of beliefs. Do you live in the real world versus do you live mostly in a virtual or a digital world versus a physical world? And those things really strongly affect how you're going to perceive the world, to perceive life, to perceive forces of nature. And that's going to also come in the conversations and in my sector, of course, about food and agriculture. But you also see that in terms of society, and it really explains also the divide that there is in terms of politics. The political beliefs are very different because of those different values that are really very strongly affected with our relation with life, with nature, on a day-to-day basis, on the real physical world.
If you're interested in my videos, please click on the subscribe button, or you can also visit my website.